Are these hectic times squashing your spirit? And how do you move forward when crazy things are happening in society? Hello, this is Angelscapes, and I'm your host, Nancy Smith. And joining me is Leslie Hoffman in this episode about nurturing yourself when your spirit, while life is filled with challenging changes.
Welcome to the Angelscapes podcast, where you're encouraged to uncover and develop a direct connection with your soul's power, wisdom, and spiritual intuition that is ready to blossom. We'll explore new ideas, compelling tips, and real steps to help you learn simple spiritual practices. We're a safe place to learn more about accessing your soul's power with education and spiritual wholeness that could bring more clarity to your life. Now here's your host, a practicing medium, Akashic Records practitioner, spirit artist, coach, and mentor, Dr. Reverend Nancy Smith.
We are seeing things right now that we have never seen before. So, what are some strategies that we can all use to keep our spiritual heads above water? So, Leslie Hoffman is an intuitive life and empowerment coach, and she helps people move forward by creating calm and clarity out of struggle, chaos, and confusion. And that's why I wanted her on this show. She's no stranger to the metaphysical world with her abilities starting in childhood. So, she has a lot of experience under her belt. And I'd like to get started with Leslie. We'll talk a little bit more about what you do and where you're from out of Florida and how people can reach you. But let's
Okay.
get on this, keeping your spiritual head above water. Have you been noticing there's a lot of changes happening, a lot of things happening there? Like, what is that?
Oh, it's tremendous. And it's everything from very small things, almost like minutia in everyday lives, all the way to the huge, big global picture. It doesn't really matter what it is. Even the small minutia things can create big changes, big waves, big havoc in personal lives.
Yeah, they can. They just
And
change the prices of food, change the price of gas, change rent goes where it goes, take
Mhm.
Social Security, all that stuff. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's like the single mother with three little kids. It's the price of eggs have quadrupled in the last 3 or 4 months. And how is she supposed to get breakfast for them, for
Right.
mind, body, and soul, to be able to get them to school with what little gas she's got so that she can get to her job? All the way to, the big corporations where they're seeing laws changed and all kinds of things, and they're trying to reconfigure and maneuver through the global scape.
Yeah, and keep people working, and keep their money.
Exactly.
I,
Because
I
it all trickles down.
Yes, it does. Not the way you would think, but it does. One is dominoes. One affects another, affects another.
That's
So
right. That's
yeah,
right. And we think about the huge big corporations as like big brothers and the evil and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, there are some of those corporations, but there's a lot of good. There's a lot of good corporations. There's a lot of good business in this world. And if you think about what you just said, they create jobs, they create economy, they create a financial atmosphere that trickles down to the single mother with the three kids trying to afford the eggs in the morning.
yeah, they create heat for our house. They create
Mhm.
gas that goes into our car. They create cars. They create. So it's people helping people, but there's sometimes I feel that there's been too many struggles along the way.
Right.
It's
Right.
And I think that's true no matter what time you look at, no matter where you are in history. I feel like the challenges right now are, well, what do you think of? Let's list the challenges right now that are just kind of new to to our time. I think it's weather. I think it's fear around the weather,
Hmm.
fear around the earth, doing its dance, doing its changes. There's fear around, and we're not going to go into politics, just telling you up front, guys, so don't worry about it. But there's a fear around world power and what a few people are making a decision for the many, and
Hmm.
are people are very well informed, or more informed than they've ever been. Um,
Right.
in the, in any time of history. And I'm trying to think of how much information we've had since when, after the 80s. I mean, we're more informed than even in the 80s. But some of it is, what do you do with it? Or is it real? Or is this an opinion? Or is this a hypothesis that isn't necessarily going to come true? Kind of think of, remember Y2K?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was going to blow up, and it was going to be Armageddon. The power.
Everybody was freaking out. All the computers were going to shut down and then take over the world.
Yeah, and then maybe there were some glitches, but a lot of people worked really hard to make sure that didn't happen, and
Right.
also it didn't happen. So, in the way that they thought it would. So, let's talk a little bit about, picture you're struggling, like Y2K, you're struggling really hard on an issue for a while, and so when can you say this is not an issue anymore? When can you say, I got to reassess this? What, with pulling away from, think about it spiritually or energetically. I put
Mm-hmm.
my head against this wall for too long. Is it worth it?
Right. Right. Well, I think first of all, you need to breathe because, lack of oxygen just makes us feel funny. Being fuzzy and not clear-headed is going to send you off on different tangents that you probably don't need to go. So try to get and reassess your physical being in the moment. And then you need to step back and think about how we've had it very kind of, and this may not be the right word, but benign for the last 20, 30, 40 years. Everything has ran pretty smoothly for the majority of the generations, the last 30, 40, 50 years, 60 years almost, in fact. And so there has not been in our generation, we haven't experienced this kind of upheaval ever before.
Yeah, not for a long, long time.
Right. I mean, our parents, our grandparents, yes, they went through some really, really rough times. Our generation, not so much. Our kids, not so much. Our grandkids, definitely not. So we have to give ourselves a break in that respect, that we cannot overwhelm ourselves with the fact that I don't know what to do, because we've never had to know what to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's true. What comes to mind is the idea of perfectionism. Every single, well, not every single, but many changes that have come our way over the past, you said 50, 40, 50 years, has been an improvement on something.
Exactly.
You had to train yourself, you had to run like heck to keep up with it. And yet that's not what we're going through right now.
Right, right.
Okay. They're not improvements. They're like, what happened?
We're realizing that it wasn't such a golden life after all when we look back on it, but we need to give ourselves the grace and the ease to know that we may not have the necessary resources to figure it out in this moment. So give ourselves a break and give ourselves some time to realize we got this. We just need to learn to figure it out. I mean, think about the drastic difference between 2019 and 2020 when the pandemic came. Our generation had never seen anything like it. Never. But previous generations had, and they made it through. We had to relearn.
Well, we did, and we didn't have the history to go back to, because we just didn't. We didn't kind of stuff. And the fear that was running through, social media threads, or these people aren't here to help you, these people are trying to trap you, or this is all a big hoo-ha. And it ran, so we ran with fear with the pandemic we're talking about. We ran with fear with the illness, the pandemic, and then we ran with fear with not trusting who was trying to take care of us.
Right, right. And we often get into this mindset of someone else knows better.
Right.
And when we get into the mindset of someone else knows better, we give our personal power away. We disempower ourselves, thinking that we always have to sit back and wait for someone else. And that's a big thing in what I do is reteaching people that you have the power. Even if you feel like you've given it away, you can never give it away. You can just allow other people to overwhelm you with their power.
Or you can see somebody else has a different idea than I have, and
Mhm.
they're adamant about it, and they're making a lot of rules around it. Let me step back and breathe.
Mhm.
Is this going to work for me or not? And
Right.
I mean, you just remember, I'm not going politics, but I just remember hearing so many different opinions on who should get vaccinated and how should people get vaccinated. Um, if she or he doesn't get vaccinated, they could cause us to get really sick. Or they're saying, why are they forcing me to get vaccinated? Because I was one of those unfortunate people who the vaccine nearly killed me. And I was in the hospital with anaphylactic reaction, and they were still trying to talk me into getting more vaccination. I'm like, no, it's
Yeah.
not gonna work. And yet, um, was I a bad member of society? Was I exceptional member of society? How did I fit into the struggle? And I said, well, I gotta keep things clean, and if I don't feel good, I wear a mask. I mean,
Mhm.
there
Mhm.
are a lot of good ideas out there. There's a lot of good things that other people know that we don't know. On the other hand, that doesn't mean, like you
Mhm.
said, that piece of information doesn't give them power over us.
Right, right. And you made a valid point right there, is that you had to decide what worked best for you in the parameters of the greater good. Because, you knew it almost killed you, it wasn't good for you, you weren't going to do it again, but yet you were socially conscious to wear the mask, to do, if you didn't feel good, you didn't go out, to make sure that your fellow person on the earth was not going to be affected derogatorily by you.
It's about living responsibly.
Yes.
Being aware of your actions and your decisions. And there's a lot of people in this world have direct impact to people you might not even know. And I feel like that's one thing that is a good, important takeaway from the pandemic is we are all connected. We do impact each other, and making decisions in my life, my small decision can
Mhm.
make a big decision or make a big problem for somebody else. And I try to be cognizant of it. But I also saw many people, and so did you, lots of reports from other countries of people just making different decisions. And what was the outcome? We're in a big freaking
Mhm.
um,
Well, and you hit the nail on the head when you said you have to live responsibly. And I'm going to add to that. And you also have to live consciously.
yeah.
You have to live with empathy and with compassion. I mean, the compassion that you give yourself, hopefully you give yourself compassion, but the compassion that you give yourself and your loved ones, you also need to give to those people that you don't know who they are,
Right.
you know,
Right.
because the energy that we give off is the energy that we get back. So do I want that crap coming back at me because I've moved at somebody? No.
I just took an attitude, and
No.
our thoughts, realities, but our thoughts are vibrations that go out from us that impact other people. We don't, you know,
Hmm.
we just think we're self-righteous in how we're thinking and talking and the attitude we're taking on. I'm like, okay, I know you feel self-righteous because you really feel that way. But did you ever think those feelings aren't telling you the truth? You
Right,
know, that's
right.
the work. But back to the when can you finally say I'm not struggling with this anymore? And what are spiritual tools for I had to use some spiritual tools, and when I decided that I wasn't going to, I can't participate in the vaccines. I made because this one doctor said, well, we'll just fill you up with Benadryl, and we'll make sure, and then we'll do this. And I'm like, I don't know. And so we could have, and because not being able to breathe and not being able to swallow was really scary for me. However, um, that struggle wasn't for me to do anymore. But the spiritual tools that I used, and let's talk about that for empowerment
Yes.
and
Mhm.
reassessment, are very important because we're not having a pandemic right now, thank God. But we are having a change of guards in terms of all of the homes that have been destroyed with the weather changes, and the people's needs. I thought to myself, how ironic is that immigration is such a big, hefty problem. And yet look at the homeless people that need to immigrate to another part of their city or another part, well, because their homes are gone. And I
Right.
know that I'm stretching that a little bit, but what are the tools that you use to look at the situation, and what part do you pick up that's yours that you would be helpful with? Do you have anyone? Your
Well,
thought?
my thoughts are first and foremost, you have to feel into what you need. You have to feel into what you need to let go of. If a thought process of having to do something or having to give something or having to take something makes you physically ill, then you know it's not right for you. It's how your body responds and reverberates with the thought process. And we go back to the energy because, if the thought of talking to someone or having to get in a car with someone or, and you just get sick to your stomach, that's a huge indicator that you're not where you're supposed to be and you're not with who you're supposed to be with, right?
From that one, yeah.
Because, and a lot of us, especially on the female side, the caregivers, we push through no matter how difficult it is. And then that's how we get so sick and we get depressed and we go down those roads where, the dark depths. So listen to your body and see what is reverberating with you and what is attacking you. If it's attacking you, then make that list and start backing away as quick and as soon as you can. Then I'm a huge proponent, and this might sound Pollyanna or whatever you want to say, but I'm a huge proponent in every piece of crap, there's a silver lining. There is a silver lining. If you can find it, if you can clean it, if you can reach for it, it may only help you momentarily, but that moment is better to have than not to have. You know what I'm saying?
I
It's
don't,
like the crap. What is fertilizer? Fertilizer is crap, right? And lotus blossoms are one of the most beautiful blossoms there are. And what do they grow in the best? The darkest, the dankest, the grossest water that there is.
I know,
So
I love that.
So
Perfect.
always know that no matter what is going on, I mean, homes burning down by the thousands. It's just mind-boggling when you see the aerial footage of California right now. It's mind-boggling. But if you can find for your personal self that little silver lining every single day in something, that gives you just enough of reprieve and momentum to move yourself forward just a little bit. And like I said, I'm a big proponent and feel into everything. We stay in our heads so much that is where we just analyze and we overanalyze and we overwhelm and we overcrutify even the good stuff.
Well, we're born, we do have skills, we do have intuitive tools. We do have
Mm-hmm.
sense our bodies talk to us, probably even more accurately than our brain. And
Mm-hmm.
you have guides, we have all of these tools, and accessing higher thinking. So,
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's the thing with the caretaking, where you're not feeling good or where you're overwhelmed. What is your intuition telling you? What is your body? How much can your body hold on to this? Sometimes a caretaker will say, I can't do this anymore, but the caretaker won't listen to themselves. And then the caretaker sometimes will pass before the person who they're taking care
Right.
of. Or the caretaker finally, the straw that breaks the camel's back, and they're out down the count. They need as much caretaking as the person they're taken care of, and they weren't listening to themselves. And there are always other answers, where you feel like, I see a lot of times a client they have to do it all for themselves, or
Yeah.
they're in a struggle and they're going to try to make things work. I gotta have a solution. We're a problem solving kind of society, and we have to have a solution. Sometimes there's no solution.
Yeah.
Sometimes like you've done this as long as you can, you've carried it as long as you can. What's the next step? Can you actually give yourself that moment to say, what is my next step?
Yeah. And sometimes it's just let it be. Let it be for a while. Even that's a break. Let it be. If you can let it roll for 24 hours, for 48 hours, you may have that light bulb moment. You may have that epiphany going, oh, if I did it this way, it wouldn't be so burdensome.
Right.
And with a lot of my clients, and most of my clients, I have male clients. I love my male clients, but I have a lot of female clients. And that's kind of what I gear toward because I'm a female, so I know. I got the female brain. But I'm always asking them why. And they look at me and they're like, excuse me? And I'm like, well, why did you feel that way? And they'll tell me something. I'm like, well, why did it happen to make you feel that way? And
Right.
what do you remember farther back in your life that made you feel the same way?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we keep going to the why. And if we can go at least 2 layers of why, we usually have a breakthrough.
Because you've lifted the hood of the
Right,
ocean. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Everything's not opaque anymore. It's just all of a sudden it's crystal clear.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. The why. Sometimes I tell my clients, let's just put away the why for 2 seconds and take a look at what do you think's going to happen if you don't do such and such, or if this doesn't happen for you. Well, if it
Yeah.
doesn't happen, if I don't take care of it and it doesn't happen, then such and such is going to happen. And then I'll keep saying, and then if that happens, what's going to happen? And you drill down long enough until you finally get, well, then I die. And okay, so you're afraid of doing this thing
Mhm.
because you may die from it. So
Mhm.
it's a perspective of understanding what's driving you, and is that drive good for you? Is
Right,
that
right,
good for
right.
you?
And
Like,
sometimes the drive for people is just fortuitous. It's just like it used to have a reason. It used to have a purpose, but they've been striving for so long that the purpose and the reason no longer applies.
if it changed, it's changed.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
applies. NA.
yeah. And it's like they've taken a detour on another path, but they're dragging that with them still.
What if
Yeah.
you have the thing and just say, okay, I can put this down now and I'm free to go further into here. And into here, do I even know what's the parameters? How do I see this? What do I think it is versus
Mhm.
what it's really? I feel like a lot of times I'll see people really going down that rabbit hole, thinking that this is the life path. This is so meaningful, and it's more disruptive or more distracting from what the real life path is. And uh,
Mhm.
that's, dude, are we wasting our time here, honey? Where are you going? Where's your higher power saying? What does your intuition say? How does your body really feel in,
Mhm.
in this? I I see these people who are struggling, and in my imagination, I think I'm just going to go down there and I'm going to help out. And then I think, so if I'm going to down there, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? How am I going to help? I have no skills. But which is, but how can I help? And I'll ask the universe, how can I help? What is
Mhm.
um this? I can't write a check for 100 grand. Let's put it that way. But where's the most? And I want everyone to think about this. There is always some small thing you can do that can add to the shift that needs to have happen. I learned a while ago, and Leslie, I think you probably have too, that we see somebody struggling and we want to help them get back to where they used to be. And looking at it metaphysically, they're not supposed to go back to where they used to be.
I was just gonna say they're not supposed to be where they were. So we always need to help move them forward, and I think a lot of the times if when we think, oh, that's when they were so much better, what does that say about us? Does that give us an inkling that maybe we feel we need to step back to help
True.
bring them back to that space?
Are we trying
Or-
to prove something else? We've got our own agenda.
Right, right. Because a lot of times those of us that help move people forward, we get stuck too. And it's like, well, I know I was good then, so maybe I should go back there and help everybody that is still there. Instead of realizing that, no, we're just in a little trench right now, and we just need to stand on our tiptoes and see that the grass is still a little greener that way, so we need just keep moving,
Yeah. Yeah,
you know.
there's absolutely, absolutely. Why don't you take a little bit break and tell people again a little bit more about you? You're working out of Florida. You have a membership group called Women Overcoming Obstacles, and it's open. Is it open for anyone to join?
Membership, I open it up twice a year. And the reason that I do that, it's a closed membership. The reason I only open it twice a year is because I don't want someone popping in, because what we do is we have monthly challenges. So at the beginning of the year, I'll do a monthly challenge like January joy. What can you find joy in your adversity this month? And then they have a journal and they write all their stuff. And we have a private Facebook group that everybody posts and talks. And then at the end of the month, we get together for the challenge chat. And I don't want someone popping in the middle of a month and go, oh my gosh, what's going on?
Mm.
I want everybody to feel like they're flowing together and nobody's left behind. Nobody's sitting in the corner wondering what the heck is happening. So it's always flowing, and we have I do oracle card circles, and everybody gets an oracle card pull, and we do that. I do mediumship readings. It's a group of lovely ladies that are struggling on their path at times. Not everybody has to have a trouble, but we just come together and it's full of love and light and all that kind of corny stuff. Um, the doors will be open October 1st. And so if anybody would like to let me know and be on a wait list to get the information, they can always email me at lesliejhoffman.com and just say they're interested in the membership, and I can shoot them out the information for when the doors open.
So say somebody wants to now, and it's October is the next opening. How can people work with you? You do one-on-ones, you do.
I do one-on-ones. I have private clientele. Most of my stuff is on Zoom right now, which, that's one of the silver linings with the pandemic. We discovered the beauty of online digital conversations.
You can meet so
You
many
know,
people.
yeah, I mean, I would not have, if it had not been for the world of Zoom opening up, I would not have the clients that I have in Dubai, and the clients that I have in London and Australia and things like that. And I mean, so people often say, well, how can you do what you do, whether it's the metaphysical stuff or the empowering stuff, just on Zoom? How does that really work? Well, energy is energy, and conversations are conversations.
You can, I've worked with many people on Zoom too and seen some powerful transformations, realizations, and when we're on Zoom. And
Right.
you wonder, is it just as effective or is it just as meaningful? And I said, oh, actually,
Well,
yeah.
my ladies and women overcoming obstacles. I mean, when we get together, some of us in Florida, there's a lot of us in Massachusetts, we have Canada, we have Minnesota, we have Missouri. These women would never have known the others, and now it's a sisterhood. It's fabulous. So yeah, anybody can just email me again at lesliejhoffman.com. And we will converse and see what they need, and I send them my information and all that kind of good stuff. I do have my Facebook page, which is Leslie J. Hoffman. They can always message me through that. I are one of the few holdouts, and it's not done by purpose, it's just has happened. I'm one of the few holdouts that does not have a website. All of my clientele has always been word of mouth.
That is fantastic. And that is a trend to just have social media and not have a website.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Over that. But yeah, so
Well, and also because I find that my interaction, even if it's through emails, I can get a real feel for a person because I like to have a little bit of flow back and forth of an interaction. I don't, instead of someone go to my website, click session, this and that, and then the session is halfway filled with questions. Well, how do you do this? And how do you do that? I'd rather get that out of the way so that that hour or 2 hour or 3 hour session is devoted entirely to them and not 1,001 questions that they have for me before we get started.
How do you do that? You were on Facebook and you'll have all your information.
Yeah, or we'll do an intro phone call, a free intro phone call, or they'll just email me with questions and I'll just answer all the questions in email until they're comfortable and then, to book the session.
So no risk here. Reach out to Leslie J. Hoffman on Facebook, and your email is Leslie
At lesliejhoffman.com.
Leslie J. Hoffman. So, and guys, she's really interested in and open to talking to
Yeah.
you before you jump in. Now you're having a retreat coming up.
Yes. Actually, this is my second one. This will be my second one. It is Women Overcoming Obstacles Cocoa Beach Retreat. It is March 6th through 9th. I've rented a beautiful multi-million-dollar home on the shores of South Cocoa Beach, Florida. Everyone is staying in the home. I have one bedroom left. That's all. But I do have a day tripper rate where you can come and stay anywhere in the area, and then you come and stay with us all day long, and we do all the things we're going to do. And then you head back to your Airbnb or your hotel or wherever you want to go. So I have like 5 or 6 spots for that open. It is going to be an entire weekend of not just enjoying sun and fun on Cocoa Beach, but we're going to do one-on-one coaching, empowerment sessions. And it's not a 50-person retreat, it's like a 10-person retreat. So there's a lot of one-on-one. We're going to do, like I said, empowerment coaching. We're going to do moving yourself through the grief that we give our own selves in our own lives, and also the grief of losing others, because we're all losing people, and we have been for 3-4 years. It's crazy the way people are stepping out of this world, right? So we're going to do that. We're going to do some angel channeling because, I'm an angel channel too, just like you, beautiful lady. So I'm going to do some angel channeling. I'm going to do some mediumship readings. We're going to have some oracle card circles. I have a beautiful friend of mine. He's a professor at one of the local colleges with a PhD. He is a master Reiki healer and chakra clear. And we had him come to the last one and the women ate him up. Doron Shalev. So that's awesome. I have a friend coming in with crystal bowls. So we're going to have a crystal bowl healing session one of the late afternoons. And there's a fire pit on the beach in the backyard. So we're going to do releasing ceremonies. And it's going to be like amazing. And I was going to do, it was going to be a little farther down, but I had such great feedback from the one I did last May that it's like, nope, we got to do this again. We got to do this again. So, and I have 2 of the women are coming back from the one that I had last May. They move themselves so far forward from being stuck. They're like my golden children. That they're like, I got to do this again. I got to do it. And they were like the first ones to sign right back up. So
Beautiful work. Leslie does amazing work.
thank you.
So it's Leslie at lesliejhoffman.com.
Yes, ma'am.
Email if you're interested in any of these things. And as you guys know, that I bring people on who are available to work with you for transformational work, for understanding work, just to get you from A, B, C, D all the way down to Z when you're on your pathway. And Leslie's one of them. That's why she's not the first time she's been on here as well. So really have blast with you. So I want to go back to the conversation and make it, I'm not sure where to start. I have a couple different ideas, but Real work. You know, we talked about staying in the struggle and knowing when it's time to leave the struggle. And but sometimes an assessment to know, is the struggle distracting me from something that I really need to do that's really important to me in my life, my real work. So let's talk about that, the distraction, as well as what is real work. So
Right, right. I find that a lot of people take on other people's issues to distract themselves from their own issues because that is where it cuts to the bone. Who wants to really think about our frailties? Who wants to think about the crap that we have? Who wants to think about, oh, well, I'm not Miss Upstanding, blah, blah, blah. I have no issues, right? We all have issues. That's why Buddha went off because he had issues. He had issues with his mom and dad. That's why he left and went to the cave. Everyone, beginning of time, has issues. So unless you are at that breaking point where you just can't see your way out, it's going to be fight or flight the entire time. And most of the time it's flight because that's the easier, the quicker, the instant response to make sure everything gets happy and go lucky and all that kind of stuff, right? Unless that person that I find is really, really, really ready to
yeah,
feel the pain. And unfortunately, it's painful, but you have to look at it, it's pain and it's full. So look at the pain, allow the pain to open, and then you'll fill yourself up with the pain to release it. Until we feel it, we can't release it.
yeah, yeah. That old saying, "Feel it to heal it."
Exactly. I love that. I love that. And we have to realize that pain doesn't kill you. The pain itself doesn't kill you. And I remember I used to be a personal trainer at a gym, and I used to teach women's aerobics all the time. And the phrase back in the day in a gym was, pain, if you have pain, you're alive. So
Yeah,
it's kind of that premise. If you can start feeling that pain, then you're going to grow. And if you're going to grow, you're going to become more alive and you're going to blossom and be able to reach out and see at a greater distance of who you are and what you need to be. And a lot of times I find like mothers that have grown daughters, there is so much pain involved and strife involved in that relationship because mom just will not allow herself to see daughter as a grown woman. And she still wants to rule the roost over her little girl. So that is a lot of the women that I deal with. And when you can start seeing the person that you're having that conflict with, that's keeping you from growing yourself, when you can finally see them as a human being and not as your daughter, your sister, your mother, that kind of person, when you're really ready and willing and able to feel whatever pain is pushed down, you'll never get it resolved. But the moment you crack that wound open and allow the light to come in, I see transformations like crazy. And the aha moments are like bubbling up like carbonated water. It's crazy. The bubbles are just coming up. And I said, see, that didn't kill you. That cleaned out your tear ducts, but that didn't kill you.
well, that's it. That's the mother and daughters. Holy moly! I, if the as a grandmother, when I see myself for my kids, my daughter and my son, the weight of it sometimes is unbearable. But if I say, they're smarter than me at this point, they know more than I do, I just feel much lighter and I
Yeah.
enjoy the process so much more. But yes, it is true. Let that time of letting go and at some point have faith in this kid that you
Mhm.
a mind of her own. He's got a mind of his own. And yeah, and then holding on. I'm going to really distract myself with your problems keeps me from moving forward, the empty nest or whatever, or just, yes, I am older and there are some things I haven't taken care of in my life and I'm responsible for those things. And I'm no longer responsible for those kids who are huge distractions anyway.
Right.
I have to, yeah, no, there's a hole. It's deep.
Yeah.
The well is
Yeah.
deep.
And it's like, you know what their issues are, and you know how it's going to make you feel if you try to put your will upon them over that issue, but yet you feel the need to go there anyways.
Well, you're compelled. It's like, what is the compelling thing?
Exactly. Why do you, and there's the whys. Why
Yeah.
do you feel you need to go there? Why do you feel she can't make her own decision? Why do and we start unlayering that onion as to the whys.
And you find out that the drama that you're playing out with her is actually your drama from when you were her age. And
Boom.
her. And she's like, Ma, cut it out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it frees you up to either create your own more drama
Yeah.
or to allow yourself the freedom of doing something that now you want to do with that energy rather than trying to impose your will on someone else.
Yeah. True. True.
You know,
Absolutely. That's
it's it's huge. It's huge. And when people come to those realizations, you just see the light bulbs. It's crazy. And then the perspective changes. And I always use this analogy also because some people just they get it, but they don't get it. You know what I mean? It's just like they can't let go of the thought that they have. So it's like when you were a kid, I never could do it because I never had the arm strength. But when you were a kid and you're on the monkey bars and you're holding on like this, and you have to either move forward or you have to go back, but you can't stay there because you're going to fall because your arms are starting to shake, right? So what's the difference between doing this or doing this? What's the difference between reaching back and going where you've been or reaching forward and seeing how far you can go? The difference is the same. If you don't do something, you're going to fall,
correct.
right?
Yeah.
If you don't do something, you're going to fall. Do you want to fall forward or do you want to fall back into the same old, same old?
Good point. Good point. It's a good
And if
analogy.
you fall forward, you can always crawl back to the same old, or you might like where you landed in the forward position.
Yeah. Because we're all meant to learn and grow and move forward.
Mhm.
We're on a journey. We're on a
Mhm.
journey for our own personal, our own
And
personal learning, which
right.
goes back to the struggle. How do you keep your head above water? Well, realize what's yours and what's not yours.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And to keep your head above water, sometimes when you stop struggling, that's when you start to float.
Exactly.
The easiest way to get out of quicksand is to lie back in it and just relax. The more you struggle, the more you sink.
Good point. Don't ever want to go in quicksand. I was just thinking about that. Oh my God. No. But yeah, no, the more you struggle, the more you sink.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so the real work is knowing who you are and knowing what you're meant to do
Yeah.
and what's not yours. And
And the first step is finding someone that will help you find out who you are if you can't seem to do it on your own.
this is work where you can do it on your own, but chances are you're better off with somebody.
Mhm. Who sees you from a different perspective.
Yeah, who can see your light, and especially I love working with intuitives because they can talk to your soul, they can talk to your guides while
Mhm.
they're talking to you. And that is makes all the difference in the world. Because sometimes you can talk to somebody and they're in their own drama and their
Yeah.
beliefs.
Yeah.
And talk to somebody who move you forward, who's already moved forward, who has multiple tools in there, including spiritual tools.
Absolutely.
Well, before we end this, I want to talk about finding truth and accuracy in the age of false news. We have a lot of stories, and I love a good story, around us that are very compelling, but
Mhm.
not. As a matter of fact, they're not true. As a matter of fact, I saw this something on some reel. I don't know what social media it was on, and this woman had said, "Alexa, tell me what President Lincoln did in his presidency," and she said, "I don't have that information." And then she went through a bunch of presidents until she got to Trump. She said, "Trump, tell me what President Trump did in his presidency," and Alexa went on and on. So I sent it to somebody who I knew I don't have Alexis, who I knew had Alexis. And a little bit later, they said, "I just went through it and Alexa answered everything." Because I asked Siri everything. The idea was that information is being kept from,
Mhm.
so we don't know what is really going on. Now, that's a big fear.
Mhm. Mhm.
But the person who was expressing the fear, using that as an example, was inaccurate.
Right.
It was heart-wrenching to watch it. It was scary to watch it. So
Mhm.
so energetically, and how do we suss out what's telling us a scam, what's bringing us into here, and what is something we ought to, you know, a lot of people want to say, and I'm making this question really long, there's no such thing as global warming. They're just trying, they are just trying to scare you. And then you have this other woman who's making a video that's saying they're controlling the information, and Alexa doesn't even know what the presidents did. It's like mushball. It's like, where do you go?
Mhm. Mhm. Well, first of all, you have to trust your gut
Yeah.
because we're smarter than we think we are. Okay? And we have a society and with media, and I'm not pointing fingers on anybody or anything, but we they do like to dumb us down, okay? They do like to dumb us down, but we're smarter than we think we are. So at that point, go find all the different news sources, whether you think they're being controlled or not, and gather all the stories of the same topic, and then see what you think, feel what you feel. If it doesn't make sense to you, then it doesn't make sense to someone else. If it doesn't feel right to you, it's not feeling right to someone else. Keep searching, keep looking, keep reading, stay informed. Don't just take what one source says or what your friend says or what your neighbor heard or what someone on a reel made because you think it's real, but they're laughing their tushy off because they know it's a bunch of stuff.
Let me prove a point, or let me really, this will get you really upset, or this.
Exactly. Exactly. And limit the stuff that you see on a constant and continual basis. Don't just consume anything and everything. Go to some of the tried and true and thoughtful sources, some of the independents, that, and we were speaking of one of a reporter that you and I both watch and follow, and we know that she speaks truth. So, talk to the people that you respect, that the intellects that you know in your life, and see who they listen to and who they read.
I'll tell you, this person, this one author, editor, writer who we both like. Do you know why I respect her? Do you know why I trust her? Because at the end of everything she writes, there's tons of links to reputable sources that are
Right.
that are either agreeing or not agreeing, or they're giving moment to moment facts. And so I know I'm not listening to her opinion. I'm listening to a story that's unraveling, and then I decide what the.
And you can go to the sources that she's listed and read them for yourself.
No, I've done that several times. Are you kidding me? I mean, that that could never have happened. Then I go read a source, then I click on another one, and there is this another version of that same thing from another point of view. And I said, that really did happen.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm scared. But I feel like we talked about this before we got on, and we said the thing of being controlled by fear, and then turning our power over to somebody because we're afraid and we don't think we know enough. Um, is that if we remain in our power, and we're also, when we're in our power, we are in our happiness and our joy, and we're moving forward in a way that we choose to, that fear can't take root.
Well, that's the thing. We have, as a person, we have to make our minds up. Are we going to allow this to throw me off my game? Am I going to allow this to create conflict and chaos in my life? Is this going to make me fearful of life?
Right.
You have to make that decision. Each individual person has to make that decision. If you're going to allow all the things that are happening, all the chaos, all the conflict, all the explosions that are happening around the world at this moment, if it's going to create nothing but fear base for you, then you need to tune it all out and just do your own thing. If you give yourself the ability to realize that you're a thinking, feeling being that can disseminate information on their own with valid sources and stay informed, then you're not going to fall into that fear-based mongering that so many things happen. And when we're in that fear base is when we're blind-eyed to a lot of the things that are happening around us.
Blindsided, the blindsided, and all of a sudden somebody's opening up our wallet and we don't even know it, because we
Right.
are so afraid.
Right.
And we have no more joy. And I feel that joy and love are the higher vibrations of the world. And
Mhm.
as our part in this is stay in that confidence, stay in that joy, that well-being, and that's what's going to trickle out, and that's what's going to emanate, and that's going to cause a change, a chain of reaction, or a chain of reactions that
Yep.
good, not just bad. So, or scary, or deflated,
Mhm.
destructive. And our job in this time of these challenging changes, where we're seeing things that we've never seen before, is to stay grounded and stay connected to
Well,
source.
it's the mindset. And it sounds so cliche, but the mindset makes your day or breaks your day.
I
And it's very hard to stay in that mindset that you need to stay in. And it's okay if you slip off the slippery slope on occasion, but as long as you pick yourself back up and bring yourself back to that mindset. And I just want to shout out Pat Hadley Fuller, who said, "You are both amazing teachers." She's in my Women Overcoming Obstacles private membership group, and she is a repeat coming to my retreat, and she was in my retreat last May. Love Pat to death. She's amazing. So I just want to give her Pat a shout out.
Thanks. Yeah. I know that, and I appreciate her listening. And I think there's a few people listening right now. And I love hearing that. And Pat, thank you so much for um learning from I'm glad we're making a difference. This, Leslie, is our way of staying grounded, of our way of putting something positive out there wherever it may go. But it is positive, I feel, and it is nurturing, I feel. And I'm hoping, and I love hearing, people say, "You're helping me." And don't you think your clients help you as much as you help them? Because
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. If it weren't for my clients, I would probably be a little Looney Tune at times too. Because as I teach them and as I help them get through their breakthroughs, it gives me breakthroughs as well. It reaffirms that I'm doing what the good work that I'm supposed to be doing. And it gives me that sense of validation because we all need to feel validated in one way or another, you know. And it's even if beautiful people aren't teachers like you and I are, they can still spread it to their neighbor, to their family, you don't have to have a huge, impactful environment to make a difference.
no, you don't. When you have, I think creating well-being in a case of where everything goes against the well-being is
Mhm.
is a miracle, and you become the miracle worker. They heard a number of interviews of people from California looking at their losses and looking at each other saying, well, we're alive, we have each other. And
Yeah.
and as they find a way to bring, I mean, you lose your home, your well-being's not so great, but as they find a way to elevate themselves into joy or well-being, maybe not so joyful, but do you see what I'm saying? It reverberates out. So the devastation that doesn't keep going deeper and deeper and deeper.
Right, right.
I don't know if I'm saying this correctly. I'm not trying to minimize having lost so much stuff, but I feel like, I'm just going to put it out there, not in a fear way, but I feel like because things are moving so wildly and so fastly, we're all going to have a turn of something we did never expect it to learn, to lose, and we're going to learn from it. And the older we get, the more we.
Well, it's, it's just a case of it's a bumpy ride, baby. Put that seatbelt on and fasten it, 4-point it if you have to. And not to take away from the grief or anything that anyone has gone through with losing a home or whatever the case may be. But we have to remember, without the darkness, we would never see the light.
That, and that's a hard one to take. I'll be honest, that's a hard one to take. Like I said, we started this talking about the past 30, 40 years, every change we've had has moved us forward and has improved us. And now we're seeing changes that are not doing that. And sometimes I'm like, what do you mean darkness and light? I guess I get a little. And so
without adversity, the joys wouldn't be as joyful. They would just be run of the mill.
And adversity and darkness is going to happen just because it's life, because it's there. What are you going to do with it?
Right.
Are you going to partners with the misery, or are you going to say, I got something else going on here. I can be creative. I can approach this differently. Whatever it is, whatever your soul's learning, whatever your soul's growth. I think every single person that lost their home in California has an individual life lesson from losing. And God bless them. They're doing the real work. They're,
absolutely.
What are they going to create from this is what I'm really interested in seeing. What did the people in Hawaii create? Remember that? And when people take the adversity and they become creative with it, that's when humanity shines. That's when hope goes out to everyone.
That's when the shift happens.
That's why I feel like all these crazy things are happening, because we're being called to shift.
And there's a huge, we've been shifting for 3 or 4 years now, but there's going to be a huge shift. I feel it in my bones, and I want to say 4 to 5 years. If we can just create a little bit of lightness and a little bit of more love and a whole lot of more compassion in the next 3 or 4 years, there's going to be a huge shift. And I think everybody's going to be able to breathe. We're going to be able to release.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, but we still have a couple more years.
Yeah, we got a little ways to go.
I feel like as we go through these little more ways to go, and complain the whole way if you want, if you can get that strength, that spark within you, that soul connection within you, what's going to be on the other side is something we've never seen before. One more time. So well, see, this is our learning time. This is the time when we're supposed to do the introspective work. This is the time when we're supposed to realize how much compassion we need to have for ourselves and for others. This is our textbooks, our schooling right now. So create what you need to create, get where you need to get, learn what you need to learn, whether you realize you're learning or not, so that when that shift happens, you're ready to fling those doors open and go, I'm here. Let's do this, Absolutely. And so having said all this, we have a lot to be afraid of, but we have a lot more to look forward to. And it's up to each individual to step forward and please help each other. Help each other step you know? And it'll happen. It's just,
Mhm.
it's not that I'm trying to believe it, I just know it, you know?
Yep.
You've been through it, I've been through it, and
Mhm.
look, I don't want to do it again, but what I have on my plate, I didn't have before.
Right.
And I see how it helps other people. So is that generosity too, the generosity of spirit. I'm not always, I'm Scottish, so I can be really stingy, but generosity that comes from, yeah, I can help you with that. I know something about that from all of us.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's meaningful and really important right now.
Yeah,
Don't lose the joy, guys.
that's right. Keep it smiling.
Anything else you want to add, Leslie? You said
You
so
know
many.
what? I just want to add that I don't think I've known you for quite a few years now. And back in the day in our psychic fair events.
Thank
And
you.
I love you.
God, thank
I,
you.
I just want to say that I don't think you realize how much good you do.
Oh, thanks.
You know, it's when I hear the name Nancy Smith, I just smile because I know the beautiful woman and the beautiful person that you are. And I want to make sure that I give you enough credit today to know that you make a difference in the world just by this podcast, just by you doing what you do. I've seen and you've told me trials and tribulations that you've gone through. I know what you've gone through with family and everything. And look, Rick agrees down there in the comments.
Rick, oh my gosh.
And like I said, I've known you since what, like 2015. Oh my gosh. I've known you almost 15 years now. I mean, 10 years. Is that crazy?
Time go.
I know, it's crazy. We're getting older. But I tell you what, it's like I salute you. I love you. I think you do a phenomenal job.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate you so much right now. It's terrific. And it doesn't it seem like easy when you're doing it as like, oh, that's just nothing. But you are I think
I
you're
don't think I don't think I don't think we give ourselves. I know my clientele, they're like, Leslie, you don't even know what you've done for me. You have no clue what you've done for me. And I'm like, I kind of do, but I get it. I get it too. You know, and it's just I just want to validate you.
thanks.
You're
Well, we're
welcome.
gonna have to talk more. I think it's like
It's a love fest. See, people, that's how you do it. That's what you take out into the world. You let people know what they mean to you. You let people know how they've improved your life, and they will let you know how it is a mutual love, respect. And that's what it's about. It's about love, it's about respect, it's about compassion, it's about empathy and allowing it to flow out of you.
amen. Amen. Yeah, yeah. So I'd like to hear from you guys. Where's your empathy coming from? What are you using your empathy with? And how is it helping you and how is it helping somebody else? Because that will bring me up, that'll bring Leslie up, and we'll say, whew, that was worth
Boom, baby.
it. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on, Leslie.
Ah, thank you.
It's lovely. You're not on enough, to be honest with you, but we'll remedy that. And then I want to ask my people who listen, I love you guys, and I'm doing this podcast, and Leslie comes on and other people come on because we want you to grow and learn and go with the shift, go with the change, and build heaven on earth. But mostly that starts with you loving yourself, appreciating yourself, and investing in yourself, doing the real work. And at the end of that is great joy. So for now, stay in grace, stay in peace, stay in love. And that's all for this episode. We'll see you in the next one.
Thank you for joining the Angelscapes podcast. We hope you've gained new insights and inspiration for your journey to uncover and access your soul's power. For more information and a deeper dive into finding clarity in your life, go to angelscapes.com. Remember to subscribe so you can be part of the discussion. It may just change your life. See you next time.